Good morning, everybody, and welcome to David Christopher's. I'm Jen.
I'm David.
And we are here today with 3 DIY Easter decor ideas that revolve around
Carrots.
So if you like carrots, stick around and see what David inspires you to create.
Hopefully.
Hopefully.
We'll see. So today we're actually going to be starting with what most of you would think of as a Christmas piece, and it is actually part of our Christmas line, but we actually sell these all year long for various things. But one of the things that we sell these for is this is our 36-inch swag, and we sell them to make swags, but we also, and you can hang them on the wall, you know, like this. It's a little thicker in the middle, thinner on the ends. But the other thing these are great for, and that we sell them mostly for, is mailbox covers. So really all you have to do is just bend the ends down on this, and you get a little bit of a gap in the middle. But that's usually where we put our bow and a few things to fill in right there. So we're going to talk about how we can turn these into your mailbox cover with carrots. So the first thing that we're going to do is, well, when you get it, it's going to be kind of flattened out, and you're going to want to pull the individual branches more vertically out and then shape all the individual pieces on the individual branches till you get more this kind of shape. And then you can leave it flat. These are really easy to do. You don't have to have anything to hang it on right yet. You just need to have a good flat space that you don't mind maybe getting some glue on. So I would cover something if you we're planning to glue this in. You don't necessarily have to glue it in. I'm going to attempt to do most of it without glue. But we do want to hide part of the pine. So I'm going to use these foam leaf branches. These are a great piece to just fill in. But what we're going to do instead of gluing is we're going to take one of our pine branches from the actual piece here, and we're just going to twist that around some of the branches of our foam leaf spray until that's secured in there. And that's a pretty simple, easy process. We're going to do that a few times. So you're going to get foam leaf sprays or whatever you choose to use here, but Jen will probably make this a kit. So we're just going to call it foam leaf spray. And we're just going to pull some of this, separate these out a little bit, and then we're going to lay it where we want it. And then you're just going to take a piece of pine and make sure you wrap that around really well. That's really all there is to that. But you can see how it's starting to, the more we add to it, the more we're hiding some of that pine, the more you start to lose the idea that this is actually a Christmas pine piece. Because really we're just using that as a base. So we're going to lose our pine in some of the foliages that we're adding here. And like I said, we're just going to take a piece and we're going to tightly wrap that. And then it's secured in there. So in this case, I've got a piece overlapping down here, and I'm just going to wrap the stem around that so that this can't move around too much. Now that's really secured in there, and we're just trying to take up as much space with this foam leaf spray as possible on top of the pine so we do lose that pine. You're really just going to see green from further away. So this is for when you get up closer, you're going to see leaf spray instead of pine spray. That's the goal. This is all an illusion at this point. So we're going to wrap that, and then we're going to wrap around at the base to keep that from twisting too much. And then we've got, you know, our leaf spray mixed in. We've hidden most of the pine from this, but we're going to add ribbon. We're also going to be adding carrots. So we're going to be using our cute carrot garland, and one of the reasons we're going to be using this is because of how wired all the individual carrots are. So we can shape those, point those in any direction we want, and this is going to be very similar. We are going to apply our carrot garland, and then we're just going to wrap a few of these branches from the pine around it to get it to hold in the space that you want. So as you do that, keep in mind that we are going to be adding a bow to the middle. So in the middle here, I'm going to pull my carrots out to either side, and then I'm going to wrap some pine around those so that those hold well in place, because we are going to be adding a bow to the center, and that's anything that's really tight in the center is going to be hidden by our bow. And that's one reason why it doesn't really matter. Like, don't freak out that you have a gap right there. There's nothing there. That's not going to matter at all. We are going to hide all of that, and we're just going to push our carrot branches where you want. You're going to use a piece of the pine to hold that branch into place, and then you're ready to move on to the next phase. As soon as you get all of those properly wired on, you'll have a little carrot hanging over the side here. Perfectly fine. We do want to make sure that we keep this fairly even, that we don't have like a ton of carrots in one spot, none in another. So we want to make sure that they're kind of going out to the ends pretty evenly, a little overhang here, a little overhang here. It doesn't have to be exact, but just kind of in that general shape on either end. And then we've got carrots out to the sides. And then we can work on our bow. We're going to be using carrot ribbon for our bow, because what do we need more than carrots in a garland? We need carrot ribbon in our mailbox cover. So there's a couple different ways we can do this. One, we want to allow our streamers to come out about this far. If you just want to kind of get a visual of how far you want that to go, we're going to call that roughly 22 to 24 inches. And then we're going to start our bow there. We're going to make this pretty loose. So I know a lot of times we start with a very small loop. We're not going to do that here because we're going to be covering a lot of space in the middle. So we're going to be doing some very loose loops, and then we are going to add some smaller ribbon into it. But I do like the carrot print. I think it's real fun and easy to work with. It's got that green on the back, but it just really highlights that carrot feel that we are going for in our video today. So we are happy to be, you know, I guess today is brought to you by the letter C for carrot.
And the color orange.
Isn't it interesting that carrot is spelled with a C, but when you do it in like diamonds, it's with a K? Mm-hmm. Why is that?
English is hard.
I would love to know the answer to that. If we have any geologists, what do they call them, gemologists? Mm-hmm. Something maybe along those lines. Out there, I would love to know the answer to that question. If you have an answer to that question, why do you spell it differently?
Just ask Google.
I can't. I don't have my phone on me right now. But we are going to want these similar lengths. So we're just going to, you know, pull those out, and we're going to say this is pretty close. Doesn't have to be exact. Do keep that in mind. It's not something where we want to measure everything. Hey, my wire. Don't break out a ruler and, you know, tape measure trying to make sure you get everything exactly the right size that you feel, you know, oh, this one's this length, this one's got to be, the other one has to be the exact same length. So we've got our streamers going out to the sides. We've got two loops in the middle. We're going to pull this one way, that way. And then we've got our bow. this large bow is going to take up the majority of our space in the middle here. And these really big loose bows are great if you are just learning to tie bow, because they're very forgiving. So just keep that in mind. If this is your first time trying something and you're trying to tie a bow, big loose bow, very forgiving, especially with good wired ribbon. We do want to add a little, like a bend here. Keep this interesting. We don't want it to just be flat out to the side. So we are going to bend this in a bit so that it keeps that nice shape, like it's perfectly intended to be there. Then we're going to fold this over and cut that. Same thing with the other side here. We are going to find a little piece of pine to wrap around this end of the tail so that we get that nice bend in it. And then we are going to cut this side as well. Bend that in half, cut tails in it. Now, you could kind of be finished at this point. Like I said, you don't have to add a whole lot more to this just because it's pine. It's just really going to show green from the outside. But these are going to be able to be bent over, and then we just attach a wire or use the pine itself. So if you're intending on this being a mailbox cover as opposed to a swag, we're going to bend this down, and you can either take a piece of wire and attach from the main frame to the main frame here, or we can just attach a couple of these loose pieces of pine that we can just twist together around our mailbox, and that will secure this really, really well. So you don't have to be overly, oh, I don't have the tools to, make that or whatever. But we can be pretty much done here, or we could choose to add a few more things to it. It's really up to you. We may do the kit both ways, but I think we're going to actually end up adding some yellow into this. So just to brighten this up a little bit, I think we're going to add a couple of small yellow bows to the sides. So if you're more of a confident, I know how to tie a bow kind of person, this may be the version you want to do. Is we're going to add a couple of a small bow to this side, a small bow to this side, run a few more streamers out, and then we may add some yellow tulips to it as well. So I'm adding just a tulip bow, and then I'm going to show you how I did that. But we want to go under our carrots. Anytime you have an option, we want those to still be kind of the highlight here. So we're going to bring that up. We're going to let our yellow ribbon go out to the sides where we have just a little bit more pine that's showing, and then we'll cut tails in that. We already have ribbon that's going out to this end, so we want to bring some of our ribbon out to the other end. And then we'll do another small bow for the other side. We don't need a ton of ribbon for this other one, but we're going to just do a loop, fold in, twist. We're going to do another loop here. Cut roughly the same length piece of wire. And then we're going to twist that together. Very easy little shoestring bow. Try to make this as simple as possible. And then we're just going to push some of this ribbon out of the way and go down and try to go onto the main frame of the swag here, mailbox cover, whatever we're choosing to call this. And we're going to twist that on pretty tight. And then we've got the same thing that we just did. We're going to let some of our ribbon come out to the sides here. Bring our loops up. So have you ever seen people make these really elaborate multiple types of ribbon, multiple types of colors in one bow? You can choose to tie it all at one time if you want to, or you can cheat and just do it the easy way and tie multiple small bows and add them together as you choose to do that. We're going to cut our tails in our yellow ribbon. Here is the only part that I would probably glue these in, is I'm going to be using these tulip stems, and these are a great inexpensive tulip stem that's going to allow us to really give a little more yellow color, a little bit of that brighter green from the tulip leaf, but these are really inexpensive. These are actually on sale for $1 right now, and those are easy to just glue in. You don't have to be super concerned about them. But yeah, these are going to be on sale for $1 for our spring promotion. And we're just going to cut about a dozen of these since it's only $12, whereas some stems would be $12 for 2. These are going to be an inexpensive add-in just to give us a little springier option, some of that yellow. And we're just going to go around our swag here, adding those in. If you get to a place where you need a little more stability, always feel free to wrap a piece of pine around that tulip stem. I'll show you what I mean. So we're going to go more out to the side here. And then if we want to make sure this tulip stem doesn't go anywhere and that it stands kind of up, we're just going to wrap that piece of pine around it so that it can't go anywhere we don't want it to go. And we're just going to keep going around and adding some of these tulip stems.
So while David is adding the tulips, we were trying to talk about where to put this mailbox swag to show you all what it looked like on a mailbox. But we have a shared driveway, so we have mailboxes on either side of us in a sort of in a row. So I don't think that this would fit, David said. And so we were talking about different possibilities, and my mom lives nearby. But we recently had a tornado in our area.
Well, your mom had.
My mom did. In the neighboring city of Tuscumbia, which is really a hop, skip, and a jump from Sheffield, had tornadoes last weekend. And her mailbox was metal on a metal post.
It was a wrought iron.
Welded together.
Decorative mailbox. One of those, I think it was, I don't remember if it was oak leaf or something, but it was, you know, it was welded together in a couple different points and snapped completely off and flew down the road.
They had terrible storm damage to their garage, and
but most everybody's okay.
Yeah, everybody's okay. No one was hurt, and that's what matters. But
I don't know of any. I don't recall hearing any injuries or anything.
No, a friend of
just
mine.
Just a lot of property damage for the most part.
Well, a friend of mine had a friend who a tree fell on their home, on their children's bedrooms, and their kids were in their beds, and they had some minor scrapes and bruises kind of thing, but thankfully they were okay.
Okay.
This is definitely screaming spring.
I think it does. I think this would definitely scream spring. You could use this, like we said, this could be a great swag, or it could be a great mailbox cover. It's really up to you, however you choose to use it. Just remember that those things are all subject to how you bend them, how you shape them. But this one's pretty much done. We're going to move on to another style. So for our next piece, we're going to be using the same carrot garland, but I'm cutting all of the branches off because we're going to add them to our boxwood wreath. So we can easily just change these into a carrot with a wire. We don't need that long of a wire, so we're going to cut that off a little bit, just a few inches. We're going to dip that in just a little bit of glue, which you don't necessarily have to do, but we're going to add that to our boxwood wreath. So just a really simple, fun thing to do. If you do want to make sure you can keep your boxwood wreath for, you know, other things, and you don't want it to be permanently Easter, just remember you don't have to glue those in. You can just punch those in really easily and then take them out after Easter. So if we just apply those into, it's a styrofoam base for this particular boxwood wreath. So we can just go around and punch these in with this little wire and not add glue to it. You are perfectly free to do that as well. But just a fun little thing that you can do with this carrot garland. I guess we're highlighting this carrot garland except for the next part of the video.
Part 3.
Part 3, yeah. It does not have this carrot garland in it. We're going to be making a carrot out of tulips. But wiring these is great for you to be able to just make them do what you want them to do. So keep that in mind. Like carrot garland, many uses. Very simple to use. You can use it as the garland, or you can use it as, you know, stems, pieces, add it to something else. A lot of fun to use. And I debated using a different one, but I realized that my carrot stem actually, I was going to use striped carrots or something else, but I realized that my carrot stems are all in the bottom, which is great if you're putting them in a vase or you're putting them in a wreath or an arrangement. But for this, I really needed them kind of stemmed in the sides. So that's why I ended up choosing the carrot garland here. Many uses for my carrot garland.
We hope to do the next video. We're going to focus on bunnies, right?
I think so.
And then our third video, as we get closer to Easter, is going to be focused more on Jesus.
Yeah.
So this is sort of spring, and the bunnies will be sort of spring, and then as we get closer to the actual resurrection, we will, or the celebration of the resurrection.
We're still getting further away from the resurrection since it was,
you know what I mean.
like 0 AD there.
The closer we get to the celebration of, the celebration of the resurrection, we will have some different ideas for you.
Yeah, we'll definitely do that. So we are going to tie one of those funky bows now. Where we're just going to do like a loop of our carrot ribbon, and then we'll actually add more of our yellow, so it's very uneven, or it's going to seem very uneven. We'll tie a larger bow out of our yellow.
And while you're doing that, we always get questions about the glue. And we do use an electric skillet. And we have glue chips that we buy in bulk, but you can melt glue sticks or glue chips in the electric skillet And use it if you do a lot of projects.
Yes.
Or if you don't like a glue gun.
Well, it's not that I don't like a glue gun. I was going to say it's not that I don't like a glue gun, but I don't like a glue gun.
You constantly are putting more glue sticks in the glue gun. Like that's half your project time is refilling the glue gun with glue sticks.
Well, I think for me it just feels a little bit like a waste that I am trying to find a way to attach I've got to like glue and glue on the stem, and I can just dip it in the glue and stick it in there. I'm going to sneeze. I've got to find another piece of wire. I'll just use this carrot wire. That will work. So this is just a simple little bow that would help it work with, if you did have your mailbox, was the mailbox cover we just used. We're just going to add this to our wreath at the bottom, if I can keep it from falling off of my tiny screw here. So we're just going to add a little loose bow. Like I said, we would, I'm thinking of this as with 2 doors. So we would tie a bow for the other side as well. Just to kind of work with that ribbon that we already used for the mailbox. So people coming up the driveway would see, you know, something that worked very well with both. Like you coordinated almost on purpose. So the next thing we're going to make, I'm hoping is very simple and easy for people to make, is we're going to make a carrot out of our orange, they're kind of a yellowy red tulips, but I like the kind of different coloration on them. So to do that, and you may have seen one of these before, but we're going to try a really cheating way, as I would consider it, is we're going to just build our shape somewhat here, and we're going to make this, try to make this narrow going up, and then we'll zip tie a little piece of this together. You get that kind of the way you want it. And then we're just going to add as we keep going, and feel free to let those kind of X out the sides. That's going to let us build a little more width. And then we're going to add another zip tie. I should have gotten some bigger zip ties. All right, got it. And then we're just going to fill in, now that we've gotten a little bit of our carrot-ish shape, we're just going to elongate that as much as possible. And I did bring one larger zip tie, thankfully. We'll zip tie that.
So how do people normally do this if this is a cheating way?
I think a lot of them use a form, but I'm not 100% sure. This is the way that I do it because I'm lazy and want to do things as fast as possible. So we've got kind of our carrot shape here, and then we would cut this, pick a spot a couple inches above where your zip tie was, because we're going to tie a small bow, and then we're going to add some maidenhair fern to make it look like the growing carrot. Let me grab a piece of wire.
So how many carrots did you use?
24.
24, not carrots, tulips.
Tulips, yes, sorry. So we will just kind of go through our tulips here, and then we'll go behind and twist this wire. Then we'll twist again
Little loop.
with our, there are fingers in it, so that you get a little loop going on. I may move this just for a minute. And then we're going to glue our maidenhair fern into it. If I can find my wire cutters now. I wonder if I can pull this apart. This is a new one. No, that one's not probably going to want to come apart. So we were going to cut this fairly short. We want to cut that little piece off the bottom as short as we pretty much can. We're going to add a little bit of glue. And we're going to try and get into that bunch of tulips. So we're going to dip a little bit of glue, and then we're going to try and get this in between some of these tulip stems. It's a little difficult. Just keep pushing. The glue should help it hold. And then we're going to cut one of these branches down a little bit because we need some kind of in the front, a little bit shorter. And this is a Fresh Touch Maidenhair Fern. It's actually really nice. We just got this one in, so I'm just seeing it also. I'm kind of excited about it at this point, because I do like a maidenhair fern. We are going to go into the middle a little bit more. We want to hide as many of those tulip stems as we can. We can cut some of those out a little bit further, but they do help hold everything in place, and we are going to add a little yellow bow there, so I wouldn't worry too much about it. You can actually use that tulip stem and glue a little piece of maidenhair into it to hide that. Just a little bit more on the back. And, you know, we've got kind of our carrot going on, and we're going to add our yellow ribbon. Now, I guess we could use our carrot ribbon and our yellow ribbon, but since we're making a carrot, I don't know, you could do whichever way you wanted to, but I think we're just going to use the yellow ribbon, and we're going to make the tails fairly short. This is going to be a little tighter bow, so we're going to start with the loops a little bit smaller. Sorry, microphone malfunction, so we're back in. We're still doing our small little yellow bow. We don't want to make it too big just because we don't want to hide the carrot shape that we've been building. So we are going to do like a 4 loops on each side bow. But there's not going to be hugely significant. I mean, you know, overwhelming sized. Where I found my scissors now. And I do want to add an extra row of streamers. So for that, all I need to do is just add a little piece of ribbon, 10, 12 inches, to my bottom of my bow. And then we've added an extra couple of streamers. Very easy if you are someone that really likes streamers. That's something you should always be aware of, that you can just add as many as you want for the most part. And we are going to wrap that. We're going to pull all of our streamers down. The first 2 are going to be our middle loops, and then we'll pull the other 2 out to their sides, and the one behind it will be kind of in the middle. So these 2 will go like so, and then we've got our extra streamers in there so that they give us a little more volume out to the sides where it's narrower. So we've got our little carrot drop made out of tulips. You could add more tulips if you wanted to, but I'm trying to make this somewhat economical for you to be able to do a kit such as this where it's kind of easy. Anything you get a little bit more mass than this, you gotta get big zip ties and it's a lot of work to hold everything together. But you could do a pair of these for your front doors. They would look great, as well as your boxwood wreaths and your mailbox cover. Thanks so much for watching. We hope you liked this video. Subscribe, comment. We hope you really like carrots because that's pretty much what this video was about. So if you don't like carrots, I don't know. We might have to.
We don't carrot.
We don't care.
Just kidding.
Yeah. So we'll have to try something else next time, which we will. We got more Easter videos coming, so stay tuned and hit that subscribe button so you know when we drop new videos. Hopefully you enjoy them, and we'll see you next time.